All right, we want to welcome into WarEagleTV.com Scott Sullivan, former Auburn pitcher and former Major League pitcher. Scott, great to see you. Great to have you with us today.
Hey, Doug, great to be here. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure.
The Auburn game at Samford was canceled this week, and the Tigers have a Thursday night game with Ole Miss, so that could work out pretty well for our pitching staff. What do you think?
I hope so. Coach Thompson and his staff has done a wonderful job overcoming a lot of adversity this year, and really a slow start, and because of injuries, they've had to put some people in place that were not normally scheduled for this workload. So I think a day off in a midweek game, especially after coming out of a very emotional series with LSU, would be an advantageous for he and his staff to recover, regroup, take a big breath, and go into a really hostile environment like Oxford.
Yeah, the Rebels coming off a good year, but kind of at the bottom of the SEC West right now. Tell me a little bit about this staff, Scott. Obviously, they've had to piece things together with Gonzalez missing most of the season. But what do you see right now as we head into the final couple of weekends of the regular season?
Well, I see a change. I see Coach Thompson and his staff having a little reset, and I don't know exactly if it was really at the midway point of the SEC conference schedule, but he rallied the troops and said, "Okay, boys, there's no one coming to the rescue. We're going to battle with you, and it's time to come into manhood. And this is the SEC, and they are no gimme weekends."
Tell me a little bit about our lineup from the one hole on down. It's a pretty nice lineup. They had a couple of stumbles in the first part of the LSU series. I don't know if that was just Skeens or intimidation or what, but they finally put it together and finished it off nicely.
Well, it had a lot to do with Skeens. He was filthy. I mean, when you're throwing 98, 99 miles an hour, in the 90 pitch area, you're grown, and you're bringing some hair up there, and especially with the spin, you just don't have time very much as a hitter. And it seemed like when I was pitching, they had plenty of time to eat a sandwich or something, and get ready for the pitch. But Doug, when you're throwing that type of velocity, especially at this level, the guys had a tendency. Nobody wants to get embarrassed, right, and get fastballs thrown by them. But so all of a sudden, you establish the fastball at 99, and then you throw the little wrinkle that looks like or has the same spin as the fastball, and it's really, really tough to adjust. I remember we were playing against the Diamondbacks, and Randy Johnson in his prime struck out 21 against us in 10 innings, and right-handed hitters were so overpowered by that fastball coming in there from the left side at 99 and 100 miles an hour. They were cheating, so they would start to swing, and here comes that slider, and they was actually swinging, trying to pick up the right foot at the same time, not wanting to get a hit in the top of the foot by that slider. So, that has a lot to do with it. And then, Auburn's lineup now is, it's got some balance to it, Doug. Case and Howell in center field, was dropped him down and solidified that middle of the lineup. They took him out of the leadoff spot. And in Stanfield, you've got he's played a wonderful left field, being a freshman. He's got some speed, and in any sport, speed changes the game. So if you can get him on from the leadoff spot, and not only get him on, I mean, if those guys are hitting up there for a reason, obviously you want your best hitters to have the most at bats in the game, and you've got that speed and that lineup. Ike, boy, he takes his at bats personal. I mean, I love to see him going up there and approach it. I mean, he digs in and really has a mental aspect of, hey, let's bring it, and let me have your best and see what I can do with it. Bryson has done a great job of I think he's up to 19, maybe 20 home runs now, if I'm close. But that presence, speaking from a hitter standpoint or a pitcher standpoint, facing those guys, if Auburn's got a chance to lose one, at any crippled pitch that you throw. So obviously that takes more pressure and puts more pressure on you as an opposing pitcher. And Coach Thompson and his staff's got them motivated and going in the right direction. And And if he can regroup after an emotional win against LSU, 2 out of 3, and kind of settle them down and get back to business, I think it should be a good weekend for him.
Yeah. Speaking of Coach Thompson, I know you're pretty close with him. It seems to me like I could pick out 1 or 2 or 3 coaches at Auburn that I think are in this category, but he seems to be one of those coaches that is able to maneuver and manipulate his team to get them playing their best baseball at the right time. Do you see that? And is there a secret he has to that formula?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he could bottle it up and being able to reproduce it. But I do know this, Doug. He is one quality individual, and he loves those kids. He loves those student athletes. Like, if he don't have any sons. He's got 3 beautiful daughters, and now is a recent grandfather, and that was a girl, or is a girl. So he's got a lot of girls. So all these boys young men that he has had over the course of his time as being a coach, he embraces them, he loves them, he supports them, he encourages the young men. But I tell you what, Doug, he does a wonderful job of uh, verbally motivating you and tell you constructive criticism without just really putting his thumb on him.
We've got Ole Miss this weekend, Missouri, and the final weekend. Have we done enough to get in the postseason with the 2 series we just played, you think?
Well, I tell you what, that got people's attention, didn't it, Doug?
I think so.
Auburn was kind of asleep, just kind of on cruise a little bit, according to the other coaches in the SEC, I would imagine. And all of a sudden, they win 2 out of 3 in South Carolina, and that probably perked their ear up a little bit. And all of a sudden, they win 2 out of 3 against LSU, number 1 ranked team in the country. And I bet that got people kind of sitting up a little bit in their chair and taking notice of Auburn, which is good. I think if they can win these last 2 series, they're going to be, I think, in a regional. But I'm an Auburn guy. I'm sitting here with an Auburn hat on, and I dug that out of my truck today to put it on while I was representing my school on this Zoom call. But Doug, I'm a big fan of Coach Thompson and Coach Carl Nunemaker and Coach Gabe Gross and Rock and all the student athletes at Auburn University and in the baseball program and beyond. I'm really rooting for them because Auburn really impacted me tremendously through my time under Coach Hal Baird here, being a walk-on. And I met my beautiful bride of now 30 years, and I've had my kids go through Auburn, and one left continuing to go through Auburn. So I'm immersed in it. I believe in it. I love it, and I'm supportive of it.